Okay, if y'all are super tricky, you will realize that all I did was shift rooms, put on a sweater and a hat. For the most part, I have a lesson. Do not try to shoot a video in a laundry room because it's private and it's the middle of the night. No. There's noises that come on. Your computer's falling off the, dryer. I'm relocating. This room is not pristine. However, I just wanted to tackle the few things that I'm leaving out in there, which were the dates in May that, I didn't really know how to recognize in what order, but I was going to do this differently, but I actually think I'm going to start with March 21st, okay? And March 21st is the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. Now, it's so tough. I mean, it's so tough. And there are so many voices involved in this, and that is why I want y'all to share, please, your take on these very pertinent issues going on, whether it's where I am in the United States or across the globe. It is so informative to know where those kind of celebrations are able to be heated and where they fall flat. Let's just jolt down. I'm going to skip over the 24th for a second. The 25th, in line with what U.S. history is, and I'm not saying they're akin, but that it relates to the racial discrimination that still exists today. The 25th is International Day. Sorry, my friend was calling me. No, leave me alone, friends. Okay. The 25th is International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. That happened throughout the world. I do not know enough to sit here and say that I'm a historian. So, I would just love the input, not, across the international, experience or your ancestors' experience, because maybe some of this, not racism obviously, but maybe the trade, while it's so hurtful, ended up fostering your family's ability, and that's just, I mean, I don't know what I'm talking. I'm just trying to find silver linings that are so different than what I know. The other one that is huge, March 24th, International Day for the Rights of the Truth Concerning Gross Human Rights Violations and the Dignity of Victims. Okay. I don't know how to do this because this is my pride, this is my joy, this is what I've committed my academic studies to, and I can't sit here and pretend like I'm going to be able to speak to this in any short capacity. I wish I could. It's difficult because that kind of part of legal foundation and policy is so convoluted, and I'm going to hope that I'm going to have a time to turn around and discuss this with y'all later. But I don't want to sit here and give you a lecture. I don't think that's fun for anybody. Also, it makes me very, very emotional about, where my true heart and soul is in terms of sort of international policy and social justice. And so I'm going to do something really simple. I'm going to take the major treaties, international agreements that have come to fruition on behalf of human rights and, the dignity, which, sort of, I don't know, like boost this particular day into the UN's recognition. I have to find something to hold this against because I am blind. Well, no, forgive my eyesight. The thing is, if you all want to look into the different nuances of this, please do, and please make comments. For me, it's just too hard to go through the policies and procedures and feel like I've done justice in terms of like providing information that anybody understands. But let's just say global agreements, international agreements. And we're going to start, I'm so sorry, I have to read. Okay. We're going to start with the International Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. Okay, that's wonderful. I'm sorry, I can't read like that because I can't see either. That's wonderful because that actually ties back into what we're celebrating right now. Moving on, this is a huge one. This was like part of, and is still part of the major UN like sort of policy making groups. And this is the International Convention, or sorry, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Now, that's a little bit different than the conventions between countries, but it is very interesting. I'm trying to find where we got social and political. Oh, good. So the next one, which is like tandem, is the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, okay? So those two are hubs. The first one is generally referred to as the ICCPR. The second one, ICES. Sorry. Yeah, I said that right. ICESRC. And those, again, are in a little bit of a different context than some of these other treaties and agreements. Anyway, just like go to those because they're really important. Like if you are really into this, like read those and try to understand what you're reading before you move on. And also read like what happened after Nuremberg, which was the the Declaration of Human Rights. Read that or you're it's just so confusing. And if you have any questions, ask me questions. Please. I'm not a genius, but please ask me if you don't know something. Maybe I can help. Let's move on. Look how small I printed this out. This is like not functional. I thought I was saving ink, but whatever. Okay, so we're moving on. Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against, guess what? Women. We just went over that. So that's CEDAW. We also have what's called the CAT, and that is the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment. I'll go back over those sort of acronyms because it's so easy to just jot those down and look them up again. The other one is the CRC. I'll tell you this, and this is about as personal as I can get. This is the Convention on the Rights of the Child. I used to work with children as my major platform. It is very hard for me now to have a child and still work in this realm. However, people are strong. I am strong. It's just, it shifts your mind just like in any sort of personal circumstance. I wanted to acknowledge that because you know what? I think that it goes across me. Things can hit your heart and you can change. What I used to be able to take, I can't take anymore. Or what I used to be able to sort of like shy away from, I won't. I don't know why I felt like letting y'all know about that, but for some reason my heart told me to. Alright, so let's move on to my my tiny little printout. I'm almost done, by the way. All right, so, the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers and Members of these Families. Now, there are some of these that are more solid than others. I will say, they involve a little bit investigation. And moving on, that one is CPED. Then we have SCR-OP. So here we go back. This is the protocol where we go back to the original covenants. This one is the optional protocol to the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And then we bump right back to the ICCPR and the optional protocol, which is the optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Let me see. Okay, we've got a couple, second and third. I forgot about this. Those are such like steadfast, wonderful sort of foundations. We have a second protocol for both, which if you read them, you're going to be able to get the most updated information. Second protocol, let's see. Okay, you know what? I'm sort of going to ignore this list because there are so many things that have been left out, and I am not going to. I will come back to this because it's not fair. There's the Convention on the Elimination of Torture. There is the Convention on the Elimination of Crimes Against Humanity. There is the Convention on the Elimination of Slavery. There is the Convention on the Elimination of Genocide. Like off the top of my head. I'm really disappointed with my list because I was trying to use that so I could just like breeze through. Let me just think for a moment. I know that we have CEDAW. I know we have protection of children. Unfortunately, we don't have protection of like certain very inherent rights of people. I am missing things. I really, really, really am. And I will come back and speak to this. I honestly was kind of like banking on something that I could just print out and be like, oh yeah, speak to it. No, like that was a really, really huge letdown. That was not a complete list. The ones that I just shouted out at the end are huge. And, I guess maybe disappointed that this kind of thing that I blipped off didn't have, include those because, my heart's getting involved, so we'll talk about it later. How about that? All right, so here we are, and we've skipped back to, where, I don't think I know how to staple paper. Okay, hold on a second. Let me find where I stapled and lost my paper. Nope, I didn't. It's right here. Blah. Okay, so we've gone back and we've recognized the, elimination of racial discrimination, transatlantic slave trade, and I don't think I did a very good job, but I will tell you this. Maybe it's because I have too much to say, but the gross human rights violations for the dignity of victims, I will return to that. I promise I will. I obviously, like, the preparation was thrown off guard, and it is a hard topic, but I don't know, like, my heart and soul wants to reach yours because human rights are the basis of, like, a foundation for people to care about people with, like, no holds bar, like, nothing else in the way. And I'm not going to talk. I will talk in like circles for hours about this, so I'm going to stop. But I'm glad I was able to cover these. I'm glad I was able to capture April, before we got into it. And I'm looking forward to just moving forward with y'all. Thank you so much again. It humbles me. I never thought that anybody would care about any of this, to be honest. And I'm so, so, so happy that you guys do. I really am. Okay, I'll see you next post.